Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight we are going to look at Fastapi for Python. Once again, this time we're going to look at how we can post data to an endpoint. And shout out to Hemsa for pointing me in the direction of Fastapi. Thank you very much for that. That was a very good idea. It's a cool API. If you're used to Spring Boot, then you would definitely also like and quickly get used to Fastapi because it uses annotations, just like we saw last time. The last time we made some get endpoints and we used some path variables. We used some request variables also. Now we are going to post. Now we're going to use the post annotation. We're going to post an alien right here to the endpoint, and then we are going to give that alien an ID. We are pretending that we are persisting it into a database system, but we are not doing that. But we are just we are generating an ID, and that ID is just starts with 10, and then it will just increment that value by 1, and then we will set that ID right here, and then we will return that alien, the new alien with the ID afterwards. The alien has a type that could be like squid or something like that. Then we have name that could be like Mike, and then we have the weight of the alien right here, and that is a float. So first of all, when you have a class that you want to return or you want to use as part of your Fastapi, then you have to extend the base model. That's the easiest way to do that, because then Fastapi can actually create JSON from that. It can also create the correct headers, so it will actually say, hey, this is a JSON object, so that means that the type of this content that I'm returning, that is JSON. And then it will actually convert it into JSON for you, and that is awesome. It's very fast. It's just like if you have Spring Boot and Java, then you would have Jackson that would do all that magic for you. Here it's just called Pydantic instead. The Pydantic is right here. It can be used for a lot of things, but it is usually used for when you want to convert JSON into objects. So it's like Jackson for Java. So it's when you want to serialize or deserialize JSON back into to an object, and so it matches a class. So that is what you want to do. So you have some kind of class, and then you want to convert a piece of JSON into an object that matches that. It is awesome for that purpose, and that it is not part of Fastapi. So you have to add that in requirements file. So let me just show that. So you have to add this Pydantic in the requirements file. As soon as you have done that, then you can extend the base model. So after doing that, then it is easy to convert it into JSON. Let's say for some reason that you want to print out the JSON instead, then that is a method, JSON string value. You should not return the string value, because if you return a string value with Fastapi, then Fastapi is so smart, they will actually say, hey, this is application text, not application JSON. And then you will get a whole other response if you have a smart client, and this client will then it will actually convert it and it will treat it as a string, not as JSON, as a JSON object with fields that you can use in your other client application. Okay, so let me just write here. So if we have this is a string, then we have alien dots. We have a method right here that says something with model dump JSON. Model dump JSON. In the old days, this method was named JSON. Whenever I say method, just here function, it's because I'm used to Java. But of course in Python it's called a function. So here this is a string, and then we have model dump JSON right here. You can start this application multiple ways. Actually, when you are developing, then it is not the best thing to start it programmatically like I am right now. This is the programmatic approach. This is good for deployment. When you want to deploy it somewhere, then you can say that you want to run on a specific port. You want to start up a specific application. You want to set your log level to something, and then you can start your server right there. But when you are developing, then you can then there's a command that you should run instead, and that is this one right here, uvcorn, and then the name of your Python file. So in this situation right here, it could also be programmatic start, but you can also use main, another file. It could also be named Mike, of course, and then the function inside that should be called, and then you can use reload right here. I've actually not examined whether you can actually add reload to the programmatic start. Maybe you can actually, maybe you can. Is there reload? Let me just check. Comma, reload. Yes, there is, of course. Okay, then we just do that. It's true, or yes, or something like that. Let's just say true. Let's see what happens. Okay, so what I do now, I'll try to start up my application, and then after that, then I'll actually try to post an alien that matches this JSON right here to my endpoint, and then I will see that I actually get a new alien returned with an ID to that new alien that we have right here. Okay, so let us do that. I can just right click and then I can say play right here, run programmatic start, or I can press my run configuration in the top. Again, it gives the same result. So now my application has started. What about the reload? Just for fun, let us try to change something. This is a string, blah, blah, save. No, nothing happened right here. I would have expected to reload this, but it does not look like it reloads it. So it's also a bool. It's not a. Okay, let us just restart the application. It's really fast API. It is what it says. It is much faster than a Spring Boot application to start up. Okay, so now it's started again. Let us now try to remove the blah blah that we have up here and press Ctrl S for save. It does not reload, but let us see what actually happens, because now we can actually access this API in multiple ways. I could go to curl, and then I could create a curl -x post right here, and then we could send it this command line. But Fastapi has Swagger and ReDocly built into it. So that means that we can actually use Swagger, and that is what we're going to do tonight. So let's do that. So first of all, you just go to docs. So you go to your, you just take the root and then you write docs afterwards, and then you can actually see your API right here. Then you've got this cool Swagger documentation right here, but you can also try out your API. So I'll just press try it out. And here I can actually type in some stuff right here. So I can say the type of the alien, what should that be? Let me just zoom in a little bit. So the type of the alien, that could be, this is a squid. And then we have the name, could be Susan. And the weight could be like 200 pounds or something like that. And it is a float, so we can also add decimals right there. And then I can press execute right here. Look, then I can press execute. So now that will actually be posted to my API, execute. And this is the response that we got down here. Yes, this is the response. So now we got ID 12. That's because I pressed twice. The squid is, the type is squid, and the weight is still the same. So if I press execute once again, then the API, then the ID is again incremented by 1. Of course, I could have done something more fun with the alien. We could also have returned an extra attribute or something like that on the alien. But this is okay. This shows us like that it works. It shows us that this alien create alien post call right here, it actually works. So the post endpoint actually works. So that is quite good. Let us now look at the output right here. This is a string blah blah. Yeah, it did not reload the file now. So that's just how it is. But that's okay. So that is actually how easy it is. We have the app post right there. And of course, we are creating if you didn't see the last video, we are creating the app in the top right here. Here we say Fastapi. We import that. We use the unicorn, that is the web server. Fastapi does not contain any, it does not have any lightweight web server by default. So you have to install unicorn, which is perfect for this situation right here. Then you also need to install Pydantic, and from here we take the base model. And by taking the base model and creating a class right here, of course, I could have also organized it a bit differently and placed this in different files. I would usually do that if it was a project that I had to use for something seriously. But right now, it's nice that we just have it in one file. Actually, that is the cool thing about Python, that you can just, in the beginning, you don't have to worry about organization. You can just put down everything in one file, and then right-click, press run, and then especially if you make a line like this. Then it actually checks was this file run from the is this the main file? And then if it is, then do whatever you put in here. In this situation, that would be to start up the main. That would actually be to run this main function right here. And again, this would be to start up the UVcorn server. Yeah. That's actually it. So this is post. Of course, if you want to use put, you just change this to put instead. Then you're using the put request method instead. And if you want to use the path variables, then you just add curly brackets and then something on your path. And then you just remember you need to name it the variable exactly the same in your inputs in your input parameters right here. And of course, it needs to be whatever type you're putting in here needs to be able to cast that to the type that you have right here. If you want to be safe, you can just have a string right there. Then we have the queue right here. That is the query. This is the query parameters. Those are the ones that you have after the question mark in your endpoint. So if you write something like question mark sort by equal to name, then you could get this part out with the sort by name, and that is the query part, that is request parameters, and that is the part that you get right here when you use the type union, string or none. So it means that it does not need to be there. It's not mandatory because it's a union with string or none, and the default value is none, so you don't have to give it at all per default. Yeah. That is what I wanted to show you. Fastapi. It is. Oh, I didn't show you the ReDocly parts. So let me just show you that. ReDocly is actually the continuation of Swagger. So in old days, that was what is actually named Swagger, and it is actually generating the documentation from OpenAPI, which was normally named as Swagger. And then it will create your cool documentation for your API. And I have that right here. You just go to your server. So it means after you created your API, go to your server, just write /redoc, and then you will get this cool documentation I have right here. You can download it, then you get a JSON specification in OpenAPI, in the OpenAPI format for your API. That is also quite cool. Or you can just scroll down. Right here in the left side, you have each of the endpoints. It's responsive. That's why if I zoom in too much, then of course the left side disappears. It doesn't mean it's not there. It's just there in the bottom. Then instead, that's how responsive layouts work. Then it looks good both on a screen and also on a telephone with a smaller display. Of course, that is called a responsive layout. But here we have the create alien right here. Then I can press in and I can see, this is it has these fields right here. It has an ID, a type, a name, and a weight. That is quite cool. Okay, and the request body schema, it should be application JSON. That is the format that it expects. It can return a 200 response, which is also application JSON. Okay. So all of this was auto-generated for you. So that means that you do not have to write anything. And that is awesome when someone in your organization comes and say, hey, you need to document your API, or else you're not allowed to actually put this into production. Then you just go here and then you press download up in the top right here. Then just press download right here. And then we get this file right here, and then we place it in a real editor, not VS Code. And then we just name the file. We can make a directory named debug. And inside there, we will have a file.json or API description OpenAPI.json. Yeah, let us just add it. That's fine. So, and then we have this file right here. The reason why I wanted it here, then I get it formatted the correct way by default, because I have format with the save actions on top. Here we can install the OpenAPI specification plugin. Yes, thank you very much, PyCharm, for that. In yeah, sometimes you would also see this specification made in YAML instead, actually, but this is just the JSON. This is the JSON representation of the of the OpenAPI specification right here. So that is also quite good. There's usually less errors if you use JSON to actually present or have some data, to express some data, because with YAML, if you just make a special, if you made a special, a space, the wrong place, or a tab, then your YAML file would not be invalid. Or it would mean something totally different. That is the annoying thing about YAML. And that is a cool thing about JSON, that if you use JSON, that you don't have that problem at all. Okay, but thank you very much for watching, and have a great evening, and thank you very much for all of your comments. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.